This episode of Fans Talk Pro Wrestling Podcast has been brought to you by our friends in the Squared Circle of Trust. Become a member today to access exclusive content as well as early access to content just like this. You can head on over to fanstalkprowrestling.com, click the big green button, and support us by pledging a few dollars our way. From the Fans Talk Podcast family at fanstalkpodcast.com, this is episode 293 of Fans Talk Pro Wrestling. On this episode, we're going to give you a break from the constant anti-WWE conversation that the internet is just filled with right now, especially after last night's Raw. And we're going to talk about what the company is doing right. NXT. This is an all NXT show, so I cannot wait to get this started. My name is Garvin. With us tonight is Joe. Say hello, Joe.
Hello, Joe.
And Nick. Say hello, Nick.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Nick.
So, first of all, happy December, everyone. This year has flown by. I cannot believe it's already December. But Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all that stuff happened. WWE.com had a huge sale. TNA had a huge sale. Any chance either of you picked up anything wrestling related?
The clap? No. No, I picked up nothing. Nothing wrestling related.
Me neither. I am, however, putting the word out there to family for a few pro wrestling T-shirts.
Are these mainstream pro wrestling T-shirts, or are they going to have to hunt down indie feds to dig them up?
No, it's all on prowrestlingtees.com.
Yeah, good can.
Thanks.
Cool.
Yeah, I haven't. I didn't get anything. All right. Well, let's move on to NXT. We're going to start off talking about NXT, the show that took place on November 18th. We're also going to be covering last week's episode, which was November 25th. But overall, where you guys want to start?
We can start with what was the beginning of the November 18th episode of NXT.
Sure.
Nia Jax and Carmella facing off.
Nia Jax.
Nia Jax. Either way, really green Jax. With all of the hype that, it's The Rock's cousin. She's just very, very green. And not that she shouldn't be. But I don't know. I was expecting a little more polish before they moved her to the NXT roster, as opposed to being still being trained.
I think he's doing okay enough just with the standard big man fare. Yeah, I'm not ready to hear her talking on the mic anytime soon, but for the level of experience that she's got, I think she's been doing okay for herself.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, I'm okay with Nia Jax just because she's so different from anything else that we have right now. So, yeah, I mean, you can look at what she's doing as green, but at the same time, she doesn't necessarily have to fit that mold that everyone else has. I mean, I'm with you, Joe, as far as, like, if you look at the NXT women's roster, like, everyone is really, really good as far as wrestling ability, as far as the stories that they tell in the ring, all that stuff, especially the recent call-ups to Raw. I mean, that's hard to top. But when you have someone like Nia Jax that is more of like your Awesome Kong style, where it's, a bigger wrestler, a stronger wrestler, slower moving, I think it's okay for her to be, different.
I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm just thinking that there's a little more polish, a little more smoothness in the moves for a big guy kind of wrestler, big man type style wrestler.
Okay. What about Carmella? Do you are you into what Carmella has been doing in the ring lately?
No. I think she's trying. She's doing a lot better than she had been. I just think that she needs to develop her own persona outside of Enzo and Cass, because when she tries to throw out the catchphrases and stuff like that, it just comes off as half-assing to me a little bit. Not really half-assing. It doesn't. She doesn't seem to believe it to me. I think it's still kind of cue card to her, if that makes any sense. She's doing a lot better in the ring.
Yeah, I mean, Carmella doesn't have the same sort of charisma and swagger that Enzo and Cass have. So I think it's natural that it doesn't have the same sort of authenticity when she uses those same sort of lines. But as long as she's still being used as sort of their valet, I think it's acceptable. And as far as her in-ring work goes, again, perfectly acceptable. She's decent, if not good. I think the only bad thing you could say about her is when she's not working with a Bayley or a Sasha Banks or somebody equally skilled in that regard, she doesn't look as great. So in matches against Nia Jax or even Marie, where Carmella is the better worker of the two, it's not going to be that great of a match. It's not going to be bad, but it's not going to be worth writing home about.
Yeah, I mean, as far as Carmella goes, I generally like what she's doing, but it's definitely not at the level of a lot of the other wrestlers there. I mean, I think by far she's probably at the bottom, way far ahead of Eva Marie, but still, I mean, just comparatively, yeah, she's at the bottom of the total pool. But she does add a nice bit of flavor to the Enzo and Cass characters, so I'm still okay with her.
Yeah, that one bit, I can't remember which takeover it was at, but when Enzo was practically knocked out outside the ring, Carmella's helping him up, and she just starts slapping him again and again to wake him up, and he just starts hulking up and climbs back in. Like that sort of flavor, like you mentioned, that sort of assistance is highly valuable.
Agreed.
All right, well, let's move on from that. Next up was the World's Gablest Tag Team versus the Ascension. This was a match that, Jason Jordan and Chad Gable wanted because they wanted to show that they are the best tag team currently, and the way to do that is beating the longest reigning tag team champions in NXT history. So, yeah, overall, we saw the Ascension return and lose. So, what do you guys think about this match?
I think the match is pretty good. I'm bummed that the Ascension is once again sliding down the totem pole now in NXT. When they were so dominant, when they were initially in NXT, is the E trying to give? Are they trying to say that the tag teams have just gotten that much better, or the Ascension have just floundered? I've been loving Jordan and Gable. They're very entertaining. They're great in the ring, and I'm happy with the outcome.
Commentary really has sold the idea that the level of tag team competition now is much higher than it was when the Ascension was on top. And there might be a little bit of truth to that. Certainly there weren't as many tag teams around. You had to throw teams together like Adrian Neville and Corey Graves, teams that didn't really mesh. But yeah, Joe, it is a little sad to see the Ascension not get any real, not respect, but maybe the attention they could deserve. I think they've been putting in decent work as Stardust henchmen. and I think there's a lot of potential there. It's the Ascension got majorly screwed when they came up to the main roster. Certainly, JBL didn't do them any favors, just tearing them down left and right until finally he staged an intervention and called out a whole bunch of legends to destroy them. But this match itself, it was good. I don't think it was quite the sort of passing of the torch, I guess, that maybe Jordan and Gable were calling for. But again, certainly nothing bad to say about the match. Both teams did exceptionally well. I think the crowd even offered something decent in that regard. I've enjoyed how they've attached Gable to the old Angle chants. And for this match, they attached the ya thing to the Gable chants. So I thought that was enjoyable.
I still don't like the Ascension at all. I didn't like when they were in NXT, when they got called up. They got right around the attention and respect from the fans that I thought that they earned, which is nothing. And so I don't really understand why they are so over and loved in NXT, because they're not great. They're not good. They're not average. They're pretty uninteresting.
So how would you fix them besides breaking them up?
That I don't know.
I take away this Wasteland Legion of Doom knockoff shtick. Just let them go back to being the monsters. The whole even before they started adopting the Illuminati regalia, just let them go back to being monsters. Give them that scary, haunting entrance back.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not have them talk. Maybe bring in a mouthpiece for them to sell me on why they are so good. You know, they definitely have a good look. They definitely have, like their tag team style is definitely quality, but without having a really good mouthpiece on it, it's hard to follow for me. You know, and it's a complete opposite for the World's Gablest tag team. That is a great tag team. They're both great on the mic. They both work together well on the mic. They're awesome in the ring together. So, yeah, I mean, them challenging the Ascension because the Ascension was the longest reigning tag teams, I totally get it. But as far as this win over them, it to me was unneeded. To me, as a fan, knowing why I like the World's Gablest tag team, I don't think this is necessary. I think we should just see them competing against, the Vaudevillains and the Mechanics or whomever.
I think you could also add something by bringing in outside tag teams, kind of like the way they did with Dash and Dawson when they brought in Corey Hollis and John Schuyler, but maybe tag teams with a little more indie cred, with a little more recognition. I completely understand why they brought in Hollis and Schuyler, because those four guys work together a lot down in the Carolinas. But, like when they brought in Gargano and Ciampa. Yeah. Bring in actual tag teams, like bring in the Bravado Brothers, bring in the Rock Nest Monsters. I don't know, bring in the world's cutest tag team. I don't think the Young Bucks would go for that, but if they could, that would be a huge get.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about this next tag team match, the Mechanics versus Corey Hollis and John Schuyler.
Yeah, that was a good match for me. I could wish that it was maybe a little more back and forth, but since these guys are just being used as jobbers, I think it works. Dash and Dawson, I really enjoy their tag team style. We keep saying it. It's a throwback to the Brainbusters, the Anderson brothers. Those guys are the epitome of what tag team wrestling should be, and hopefully will be moving forward. Just the way they focus on it on a piece of the body and just keep hammering away at it, and the underhanded tactics that they use to do it. I really enjoy that, and I think they epitomized that in this match.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a good style to have. What's nice about the NXT tag division is that every team is like completely different. You know, Vaudevillains, the Mechanics, Chad Gable and Jason Jordan. You know, these different teams, Enzo and Cass, you know, as far as their styles, as far as their characters, as far as their motivations, it's all different, and I think they all play well together. I mean, if there was more teams like the Mechanics, they might not stand out as much, but because everyone else is so different, it just emphasizes how good they are.
Mm-hmm.
Did I just lose Garvin for that short bit?
No, I don't think so.
No, I heard him.
Okay, so the video's off.
Did you mute me?
No, the video's off. Because you were talking while you were drinking a beer.
Oh, I see. Weird. All right, so we also had Emma versus Mary Kate. Mary Kate, Australian?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
she's not somebody that I recognize.
Yeah, I don't think she talked. I know that they were bringing in quite a few Australians in. And then we also had Bayley versus Alexa Bliss for the women's championship. I do have to note that, honestly, this show, like, yeah, the Mechanics were good. Yeah, World's Gayest Tag Team was good. But I really didn't make any notes about anything except for the current women's division. Like, to me, the women's division continues to be the most compelling part. I mean, you've got Nia Jax, who, you know, we talked back and forth about. Mary Kate, I thought, was, you know, another standout. Like, they keep bringing in these outside talents. The Aussie women, as Beanbag says in the live chat, you know, you keep bringing in those talents, and it just shows like how high quality the women's division is. Plus, Bayley and Alexa Bliss was a great match. So, are you with me that this is the most compelling division right now in NXT?
I definitely think so. I think the women have been doing phenomenal work, and I'm glad that they're shedding light on women's wrestling. The only other change I could make would be to have the women fighting men, and vice versa. I mean, like, I to help put both sexes on equal ground. That being said, we're not going to see that. At least if we are going to see it, it's not going to be for some time.
Not in WWE.
No, but the women's wrestling has been phenomenal. I'm glad that they're dedicating more time to an NXT with 2 weeks in a row. Spoilers, because we're going to get to the next show too. But that the women's title is defended 2 weeks in a row as the main event. That's awesome, and it's great that there's enough faith in their skills, in their skill set, and in their abilities that that's a perfectly fine main event. I mean, even heck, Garvin, when you and I went and saw, we were in the Cleve and we went and saw NXT Live. If it was going to be Sasha and Charlotte as the main event, it was damn near close enough. I would have went home happy. I mean, luckily we got the fatal 4-way between Owens, Balor, Breeze, and crap. Who's the fourth?
Was it
Samoa
Joe?
Joe. It was
Samoa
Joe.
Joe. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. You know, which was a phenomenal match. But yeah, no, I mean, women's wrestling has been doing great in NXT. And they're actually giving them storylines. They're actually giving them reason. And actually showing they can kick major ass.
I can't say the women's division has been the best in NXT of late. I think that honor goes to the tag team division. And I think that's been kind of NXT's mission of late, is just to put the tag team division on the map. Just increasing level of competition. The Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. Just putting a spotlight on that group. But by no means has the women's division been shoddy or anything like that. With Asuka coming in and just taking names and kicking ass left, right, and center. Nia Jax being as dominant as she's been. And presenting a whole new model for women in wrestling. At least in the public eye. And across the board, we've been getting great matches. Peyton Royce and Billie Kay have been excellent in their own rights. Emma's really come a long way since she's turned heel, and I think she kind of stepped it up again in that match with Mary Kate. So, yeah, honestly, again, while I can't say it's been the best division of late, it's a very close second at the very least.
So you say that, but we should note, as far as it's NXT's mission to put the tag team division on the map, and while I'm with you that they are emphasizing that quite a bit, Bayley versus Alexa Bliss was your main event on November 18th episode. The episode we're going to go into right now, which was November 25th, Bayley versus Eva Marie was your main event. So while NXT is emphasizing and quote unquote putting them on the map, it is not their top thing happening.
You're not wrong.
I know.
They really need to have the women's division in a spotlight for sure, especially since Sasha and Bayley main evented the last takeover. They really need to double down on that. And I guess kind of ride the wave is a little bit of a cynical term, but it's kind of accurate. But quality-wise, I think the women's division isn't quite up to what the tag team division has been doing of late.
Let's agree to disagree. November 25th episode of NXT. As far as the women's division goes, let's continue on this topic. Emma and Dana Brooke. It was supposed to be Emma versus Asuka. Emma and Dana Brooke attacked Asuka. And then, again, in your main event, Bayley defeated Eva Marie to retain the championship. And
Thank God.
While I do want to throw props at Emma and Dana Brooke for that entire segment with Asuka, I have to say Bayley versus Eva Marie was probably the most engaging and entertaining thing that WWE and NXT have done in a long time. Just the fact that they made it so believable that Eva Marie was going to win.
Mm-hmm.
That was so awesome. Just the whole thing was awesome. I mean, yes, Joe, your side. We don't want Eva Marie as champion, but just the fact that we have, you've got that, not necessarily the authority, but I forget. Oh, it was WWE Corporate is backing Eva Marie, and it seemed like there was all these different things that they put into place to ensure Eva Marie got that fair shot, and Eva Marie almost, got the title handed to her for Bayley to make it out. I mean, this is the beginning of a really, really compelling and good story.
I do enjoy the fact that the WWE has been pushing this narrative so hard, and that they are willing to fuck with the fans to that degree. I think it's a little heavy-handed, just the way they're trying to establish NXT as sort of the punk rock alternative to the actual mainstream product. But, it works. It's a way to actually cast Eva Marie in a role that isn't, oh, I'm wildly unsuited for this match in every way. It's setting the stage. She's got a badass in her corner that is going to interfere in the match. She's got a referee that's practically bought and paid for. So, yeah, from a storytelling perspective, it actually leveled the playing field a little bit to where you could actually reasonably expect Eve Marie to walk out as the women's champion.
It's a bummer, though, that that little Nate is being looked at as the bought and paid for ref. Come on, Charles Robinson. Come on. You're the justice. You're the truth in the ring, man.
That's my Kyoto.
Not in my opinion. I think Robinson's better.
Well,
he's a better ref. I mean, he did the run from hell.
Yeah, but also consider that there is no correlation between WWE as far as in this story. There's no correlation between WWE corporate and the Authority. The Authority definitely would have gone with Kyoto, but Little Nate is definitely high up in the totem pole that he would probably be WWE's as far as the corporate side. The main guy to go to.
I would argue that the Authority's go-to ref will be Scott Armstrong just because they have so much on him. But, using Little Nate in this role, I think that works the best. He might just be the most recognizable referee that WWE has right now.
I think that's easy to say. What do you guys think, since we're talking about like Eva Marie here, what do you think about her and Nia Jax teaming? Because Ishmael wishes it didn't happen.
Yeah. I guess I'm kind of with Ishmael on this. I don't necessarily like the idea that they're partnering Nia Jax with Eva Marie or with WWE Corporate because they haven't been telling the story that way since she debuted. I mean, when she debuted, it's all been about her and that character they're developing, and this seems to be almost counterintuitive, like this little side act that she's a part of. So I think they could definitely tell that
segments.
Well, sure, but
let's outline that.
That's true too. I just think they probably could have done it better in the sense of like why Nia Jax is partnering with her. Because have we gotten that part, like that explanation of why they're working together? Because that scene, it wasn't this week. It was the week prior. You had Nia Jax basically, take Bayley's title from Alexa Bliss and then give it back to Bayley, but it was like with this emphasis that she wants that title. So, quote unquote, in kayfabe, like where does this all fit with that idea? It just seems kind of, again, just counterproductive.
I think they're depending on us to draw the parallels between Nia Jax and Eva Marie, where they both have their connections to Hollywood. Eva Marie with Total Divas and Nia Jax through her cousin The Rock. I agree. The storytelling with Nia beforehand didn't lead into that seamlessly. But just by itself, that whole angle, I think it works. It's reminiscent of when Gail Kim was a heel champ in TNA and she had I'm forgetting her name now. Not Awesome Kong, the other big woman that's been through there recently.
Lady Tapa.
Lady Tapa, yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's reminiscent of how that relationship worked. But now that Eva Marie's out of the way, Nia Jax does have a direct line to Bayley. Now that she doesn't have to back up her friend, she's been kind of circling the title picture of late anyway. So she could push the narrative that, if I'd been in that ring instead of Eva Marie, I'd have won that match. I wouldn't have needed any help from outside. So I hope it's not immediately subsequent, but maybe in the near future after she's had a chance to polish her ring work a little bit and to get a little more established, maybe then.
I mean, I just feel Nia Jax is playing the Tamina rule. I'm just going to be the side muscle. I mean, of course, yes, everybody wants a shot at that title. And I think that's going to come down the line eventually when they put it on Eva Marie. Because something's going to piss off Nia. But and then she'll go for the title, so then we'll have like the Shawn Michaels Diesel angle thing going on. But yeah, I'm glad that, like, I think that story is just developing. You know, we just now saw at the end of the night. Was it the end of this night, or no? It was during the challenge on the 18th, where they actually paired the two together, Eva Marie and Nia Jax. Was it the 18th or the 25th?
It was at the end of the 18th when they put that relationship together.
So they really haven't had much time to really discuss or outline exactly why. And welcome Angel Newberry to the Blab chat. But no, they haven't had time to really define that. I think we're going to get that going forward, and I think they should make it at least an interesting dynamic where, you know, you've got Nia Jax as the muscle and Eva Marie as the barely conscious mouthpiece.
Yeah, and I guess I'm okay with that idea. You know, Nick, as far as them, you know, pushing Nia Jax in the title picture this quickly, I can't necessarily see that. Just because, I mean, again, you have Alexa Bliss there, you know, so you've got Alexa Bliss, Bayley, Eva Marie, plus, you know, everyone else. Like, I just can't necessarily see them pushing Nia Jax into that title race prior to Asuka or Emma or Dana Brooke, etc. So, but
how else
you know,
would you get Asuka into the title picture, though, if not against an opponent like Nia Jax?
Oh yeah, I mean, say
that would be a good gateway.
Say post NXT Takeover London, you know, I could see that. I could see Asuka moving on from the challenge that is Emma and Dana Brooke and moving on to, you know, trying to get Eva Marie and going through Nia Jax that way.
Angel Newberry in the Blab chat asks, do we see Bayley losing to Nia Jax and then moving up? And then says Bayley Asuka would probably be a better bout for the belt. And that Bayley will lose to Nia Jax. So.
Skill-wise, absolutely. I would much rather see Bayley versus Asuka than Nia Jax versus Asuka. But, you know, I don't necessarily see the motivation there being better than Nia Jax either beats Bayley outright or somehow screws Bayley out of the title. And then you've got a blatant heel holding the strap, and Asuka would be fighting her way up. Literally and possibly figuratively punching above her weight.
The David and Goliath style stories that seem to happen quite frequently in WWE haven't necessarily lost their like magical feel to them. So, you know, the idea of Bayley versus Nia Jax, I think, is a better story than Bayley versus Asuka. I mean, Bayley versus Asuka is by far going to be the best match out of the two. But I think, you know, knowing WWE, they'll probably want to go that David versus Goliath route just because it's a proven storytelling, you know, mechanism.
Yeah, and I think Nia Jax is really the only diva they've got right now that can make Asuka look like an underdog.
Women, she's a woman wrestler. She's not a diva.
She's still a diva.
Yeah, real quick, just to touch on that side of things. One thing you noted was that, you know, the a reason that they could back as far as storytelling between why Eva would partner up with Nia Jax is because they've got that quote unquote Hollywood connection. And I almost don't necessarily see it that way. If you look at how they're telling the story, I mean, that's an obvious thing. Eva Marie, Hollywood, Total Divas, like that's her show kind of thing. But Nia Jax, I wouldn't necessarily put in that same boat just because of the Rock connection. What I would do, or at least how I see it, is that, the story they're telling is that WWE corporate is backing Eva Marie. And who is WWE corporate's favorite person? The Rock. So yeah, that's the connection for me, is that because she's related to The Rock, you've got Eva Marie, who is their person with the person that is most closely connected to The Rock.
Yeah, that's definitely valid.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even throw Hollywood into that mix. But all right, one thing that I forgot to mention, just because of how good Eva Marie looked on this episode against Bayley, with all of the story being told behind her, we can't forget how awful she was the week before with that promo where she was challenging Bayley for the title. She definitely has a long way to go to really fit well in that role. And hopefully they've learned their lesson to keep her off the mic for now and tell the corporate story how they did this week. Okay. So that is the women's division in NXT. This week, we saw quite a few other things. Dash and Dawson defeated the Vaudevillains for the tag team championships. We also saw the return of Enzo and Cass, who returned and wanted to fight Dash and Dawson, which was high energy. We saw a good character shift from what Enzo and Cass, what they've done previously. So overall, seeing this like new energy, new violent side of Enzo and Cass, and really angry side, are you excited about the upcoming match? I mean, we have to assume that that's what this is going to: Enzo and Cass versus Dash and Dawson.
I'm excited. I like Enzo and Cass a lot. They've got a lot of great charisma. They work extremely well in the ring with the bigger guy and the smaller guy. And I mean, like, they've got the chemistry down. And they've got the reasoning to get in there and just try and destroy Dash and Dawson. They've got a chip on their shoulders and they're ready to take everything. It's a beautiful sight right now.
I heartily approve of less soft Enzo and Cass. And I like the fact that they're trying to get revenge against Dash and Dawson for the attempted forced admission into the hospital. I'm less than excited about the prospect of a takeover match right now, just because either way, a team gets hurt coming out of it. If Enzo and Cass face Dash and Dawson and lose again, then that's just another entry into a long list of losses.
Correct.
If Enzo and Cass go in to take over and win, Dash and Dawson have kind of a sad title reign. Yeah, they beat the Vaudevillains to retain their titles, but other than that, who have they beat? Essentially nobody, as far as NXT is concerned. Hollis and Skylar are great wrestlers, but they're nobodies in the WWE continuity.
I see that match coming out, if that's what they're doing at TakeOver. I see it being a DQ match. I see another tag team getting involved, be it the Vaudevillains or Blake and Murphy, or somebody's going to get involved to cause a DQ, or it could be even Jordan and Gable. Something's going to happen so that there's more time with the belts on. Excuse me, on Dash and Dawson. But yeah, I think that'll give them more time, but it doesn't necessarily hurt Enzo and Cass and the Frosty. It's just going to give more time for them to tell more of the story.
If there's a DQ finish, I wouldn't expect another team to get involved. I would think Dash and Dawson disqualify themselves.
That's another option too.
Or the opposite. The thing that really intrigues me about this is that, Enzo and Cass love the characters, love the intro when they come down, the whole shtick. It's cool, but I never saw them as a serious tag team contender. We would hope, there would be that hope that they would be pushed into that title race in a good way, but versus the Vaudevillains or versus Dash and Dawson, they were never top contenders for me as far as appearance. But you have them be angry and wanting vengeance and wanting to hurt these people. That to me is the way that you put the titles on Enzo and Cass and make it believable and make it the most exciting for the fans that have backed them. So, to me, this is exciting because this puts them into fight mode, not necessarily entertainment mode. So, as far as the DQ part, I would totally be okay if Enzo and Cass were the ones that caused a DQ, just because they went above and beyond trying to get that revenge.
I could kind of see that. Just Cass goes into full-on monster mode and just tries to do unto Dash and Dawson. And in Regal's eyes, that would put them at the bottom of the ladder. So Enzo and Cass have to work their way back to where they can challenge for the titles again. And I think that would be a good way to kind of earn them a little more legitimacy in everybody's eyes. Yeah, they're pretty much everybody's favorite tag team, but just as far as seeing them as credible champions, I think you give them the Sami Zayn and Bayley treatment. Have them go through everybody that's beaten them before, the Vaudevillains, Blake and Murphy, and just start racking up wins and get them on a roll. And then you can have them beat Dash and Dawson after a couple more months of them being champion.
Okay. The only other match that happened this week on NXT was Apollo Crews versus Jesse Sorensen. Overall,
Jeffy!
What did you think about this match? Any notes that you guys took away from this?
It's good to see Sorensen in the ring again.
Yeah, I mean, nothing incredibly special. Good match overall. Just, yeah, again, I always enjoy seeing Sorensen in the ring. Need to start tracking down where he's been. I know he's been in a couple places, Paragon Pro Wrestling, but yeah, nothing too spectacular, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, it was a squash match. It was a squash match to put Apollo Crews over, but commentary did a really good job at building up Jesse Sorensen's credibility. I was really surprised by that. Just the fact that commentary, I mean, they straight out didn't say like where he was from. They didn't talk about his TNA stint or anything like that, but they made it feel like a bigger deal that here's another, guy from the indies that you would never expect in NXT or in a WWE ring. And he's here to take on Apollo Crews. Like, I was really surprised that Jesse Sorensen fit in that level compared to, you know, Ciampa or anyone else that has come in. But they really did a good job at just, you know, making this seem like it was a surprise, and B, that we should take note of it.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. Sorensen does have name recognition for folks that pay attention to any wrestling outside of the WWE. Maybe even for those that don't watch TNA. He's been kind of not as visible as guys like Johnny Gargano or Tommaso Ciampa, but, you know, again, with Paragon Pro Wrestling, they had a little bit of name recognition for a while just because of the TV deal they got and who was associated with that promotion. But I think that's the one best thing that Corey Graves brings to the table outside of his relationship with Byron Saxton and the repartee they have going back and forth. It's just he did spend a lot of time on the indie circuit, and he knows these guys. He knows the Jesse Sorensens, the Tommaso Ciampas, the Johnny Garganos, and he can actually reference things that other guys like a Byron Saxton or anybody else you could put on commentary wouldn't know. And that makes him a great color commentator.
Just clarifying, did you say repartee?
Repartee.
Is that like French? Is that the French
I
way
don't know,
to say
probably comes from
rapport?
French.
Oh.
No, it's just a back and forth exchange.
Hey, man, we let a couple of things you said tonight slide, so.
All right, Jeffy. All right, so
Jeffe, Jefe, Jeffe.
so yeah, I don't know. I think it was conflicting. It was like a conflicting message because what you were seeing on TV wasn't necessarily what you were hearing on commentary. Commentary was building up Jesse Sorensen. Apollo Crews like squashed Jesse Sorensen. So I thought that was kind of odd. I would have liked to see you know, some back and forth, but otherwise, yeah, I'm with you. Corey Graves is great. The back and forth between Corey Graves and really everyone on the commentary team, I think, is good. So,
yeah, more back and forth inside the ring would have been nice, but I think they're on a mission to establish Apollo Crews as being just as dangerous as they've tried to make Baron Corbin look. You know, Corbin's had all the squash matches. He can beat anybody in under 10 seconds with the end of days. And everybody recognizes that Apollo Crews is obviously superior in just about every way on the mic, in the ring, anything. But just with the way he beat Jesse Sorensen, I think that's the goal here, to make him a tougher competitor, a more dangerous competitor, somebody that isn't just happy smiling but still going to beat you. I think it's still going to beat you. I'm going to kick your ass in all kinds of ways while I do it.
all right. So a few more things that happened this week on NXT. We also had the announcement that Sami Zayn is returning. So Sami Zayn returns to NXT. Obviously, I can't wait. I know you guys feel similarly, and a lot of who we talk to on the internet, whether it's the Squared Circle of Trust or people on Facebook or, you know, whatever, it seems like a lot of people are excited to see Sami Zayn return to NXT. Are you surprised that he's going back to NXT rather than going up to the main roster, just because of the fact that there isn't really, you know, that baby face that you can back? Do you think this is a good move for Sami Zayn?
I do. Especially coming off the injury that he's had. I think it's good to get him behind the crowd that has known Sami Zayn, because the main roster doesn't know Sami Zayn outside of one John Cena U.S. title match. So get things churning with him in NXT again. Make sure he's ready to go. You could do some interesting stuff. I mean, he's still got a grudge or a chip on his shoulder for losing the title so quickly. He might go right after it again. So we could have Samoa Joe versus Sami Zayn. That to me, that looks like it could be very entertaining television. After that, I mean, yeah, he can head to the main roster, and there's always the Kevin Owens thing. I mean, that's never going to be a thing that's going to go away. That's like Undertaker Kane. It's going to be built in for life. And once we warm Sami Zayn back up with the NXT thing, and with more eyes being on NXT more than ever, I think him moving to the main roster at that point would probably be best.
I absolutely think Sami Zayn going back to NXT first is not only a good idea, but also critical for him. For one thing, it's a great conditioning stint, if nothing else. And secondly, he does have a lot of unfinished business in NXT. He held that title maybe a month, maybe before Kevin Owens took it from him. And no, he can't get his revenge back on Owens by taking the belt from him. But, it's still sort of a middle finger over to Owens when he takes the belt back, is that you couldn't stop me this time. And I really do think that they want to give him another championship run, a real one, if you will, and make him the first two-time NXT champion. I also believe that this would be an excellent way to spur along some character advancement with other folks, namely Finn Balor. Who knows when Hideo Itami is going to be able to come back? Outside of Itami, I think Sami Zayn is the best way to get a little bit of substantial character development out of Finn Balor. He's a face right now, but he's been kind of stagnant. He's been bringing the demon out for the big matches, but other than that, you don't really have much more than the stupid sexy Finn when he holds his jacket open and shows off the title belt. So, and I don't see Samoa Joe changing that either. It's going to be a great match at TakeOver London, but beyond that, Balor is still kind of stagnant. I think with Sami Zayn coming back and just the wave of support he's going to have, you could do a lot with that with Balor. I think Balor will get bitter at the way everybody's kind of shifted back to the old/new flavor of the month. And you might get a shift away from the demon and start getting the Balor that you would see in Japan when he was a heel, when he was the head of the Bullet Club. Just that kind of character that is incredibly polarizing, and he recognizes that he is polarizing and he is getting that sort of crowd support, and he's constantly shifting about to kind of cut the legs out from under that, to always maintain that heel status.
That could be fun too.
Yeah, I don't know, because the thing is that while I think we all agree that seeing Sammy hold the NXT championship, like, that was a big deal. That was a good moment. That was a good span of time. Especially to see him defend that as well as he did against Kevin Owens, against everyone else that he did. At the same time, like, and this is being talked about by beanbags in the live chat. Sammy, to me, is most entertaining chasing the title than he is holding the title. So I don't know if I want to see Sammy. I mean, yes, I want to see Sammy go against Balor, because I think those two styles match a lot better than, say, a Baron Corbin and a Finn Balor. But at the same time, I'm more looking towards Sammy's fight for that championship and continual fight for that championship rather than him holding the championship.
See, I don't think we got enough of a taste of him holding the championship to really gauge that.
Exactly. I completely agree. That chase for the title, that sort of redemption story where he had to prove that he did have it in him, that sort of killer instinct to become a champion, That was vastly entertaining and incredibly satisfying. But you got the payoff and immediately had it yanked away from you. You never really got to enjoy it. So I hope they don't try to recreate that exactly, because then that's just going to feel stale. It's going to feel like a knockoff, like trying to catch lightning in a bottle again. But I think there's a lot of potential to be had in a Sami Zayn title run, and I know Sami Zayn has it in him to make that just as entertaining as the Chase.
Well, sure. And I'm completely with you. You know, we didn't have enough time to really gauge how good Sammy could be as champion. But at the same time, like with Owens coming in, like I was super excited and totally into Kevin Owens as champion. And really, you know, him going over Sami Zayn, I think was almost better than Sami Zayn winning the title. Maybe it's because the story that was involved with their relationship, but you know, I don't know. I mean, I just don't know if I'm behind Sami being the top guy.
Yeah, Owens, you're absolutely right. That was amazing. Again, though, that's like lightning in a bottle. It's not going to happen. It's very unlikely that it's going to happen again.
So again, you know, just bringing this up again, like what is best for Sami Zayn to be back on the NXT roster, fighting for the championship, or being put on the main roster where it looked like he was going to be with his fight against John Cena, etc. I mean, yes, for us fans, because we know what Sami Zayn can do in NXT and the huge new opportunity for different and new competition. But at the same time, I almost do want to see what he can do on the main roster against those top guys, especially for the U.S. Championship race, especially for, you know, a guy that could take the IC title off of Kevin Owens. I would almost rather see that than him go back to NXT. He won't get as much, you know, time or, you know, focus that he will in NXT, but still, I think, you know, from the idea of, you know, what is better for me as a fan to watch Sami Zayn? Is it to fight the new up and comers from NXT, or is it to fight, you know, the current roster on Raw? And I almost lean towards Raw.
Ishmael brings up an idea of Sami Zayn teaming with Neville and going after the NXT Tag Team Championship. I mean, that brings Neville back down, but
I mean, Neville's not really doing anything on the main roster of note, at least unless I missed something on Raw. But no, I don't really like that idea all that much. Sami Zayn absolutely does deserve to be on the main roster, but what he should have is absolutely not what he's going to get. And yeah, having Zayn immediately go after Owens again would be fun to watch, but I'm pretty sure they have a firm idea of what they have in mind with Ambrose versus Owens. And to be honest, I don't think Owens is going to retain the IC title at TLC. So if you're going to have Zayn versus Owens, I would almost prefer it be over a title, preferably with Owens holding it, just so you can kind of get that tit for tat angle going there.
And I don't want to see that for a few months, at least. You know, I want to see Zayn do what he needs to in NXT. I really think reestablishing himself and giving him some fire is the smart move. so that we could always have him come back and jump right into Owens, but isn't that too easy of a card to play?
Well,
and then we'll wear us out on it too quickly.
Yeah, and it also means it means a lot more on the NXT side because these are two indie guys that are competing. Yes, it'll have a similar impact on Raw just because a lot of the Raw audience that is at least vocal, the male audience that's vocal, is going to be into this match. But I think I would rather hold off that confrontation between the two for a little while.
Yeah, and I don't trust commentary telling that story either. They're not going to tell it anywhere near as well as Owens and Zayn could, or even the NXT commentary team. Maybe the SmackDown team could do it a little bit of justice, since if I've forgotten the play-by-play guy's name already. But Lawler and Booker T are a little bit more plugged in. They at least care about what goes on down in NXT. So, yeah, again, Sami Zayn on Raw would be great for us initially, but I think he'd be wasted right now.
Okay.
What are the odds they hold off on moving Sami Zayn to the main roster until after WrestleMania?
Pretty good, I think. I think there are a lot of similarities to be seen between him and Bayley, and just the way they've held off on her. I think that's exactly what they would do with Zayn.
All right, so a few more things happened on this week's NXT, but let's go ahead and hold off all of that just because it was kind of secondary. But NXT Takeover London is happening December 16th. So that's 2 weeks from now. We're going to be previewing it for sure, but we've also got WWE TLC the Sunday prior, so not sure where we're going to fit it in yet. But we definitely will be doing something for the preview. So check the podcast feed for that. It's also at 3 p.m. just because it's in London. So I know I'm going to be working. I know a lot of people are going to be working at 3 p.m. So most likely we won't have an official live chat for NXT Takeover London until a little bit later in the evening. So I'm going to be posting something in the Squared Circle of Trust Slack community. So again, if you're a member of the Squared Circle of Trust, just be on the watch for that, and let's organize a live chat to all watch it together. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Maybe later on that evening or the next day or something. But definitely get into the Slack community. If you're not a member of the Squared Circle of Trust, all you got to do is go to fanstalkprowrestling.com, click the big green button. That'll take you to our Patreon page where you can subscribe to the content that we're producing. It basically allows you to support us financially. A couple dollars our way. It really goes a long way collectively. So definitely do that. But on the card right now, we've got the NXT Championship match, Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe, and Baron Corbin versus Apollo Crews. So those are your two matches that have been announced, and most likely we'll get about 3 or 4 more. I think that's been the routine for takeover events. They're about 2 hours or so we should be able to fit about 5 or 6 matches in. But overall, the Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe matchup should be pretty good. That's one thing we didn't talk about this week was the contract signing, but I'm sure we'll bring that up in our win and fail. On the WWE TLC, or I'm sorry, in the WWE side, again, we're going to skip Raw just because everyone's been super negative about it, and I don't know if we would have anything positive to say about it either. So, but TLC is coming up. It takes place on Sunday, December 13th from Boston, Massachusetts. We're going to be previewing it live next week on Tuesday, December 8th, when we record FTPW294. So that's at 8 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday, December 8th. So definitely join us, whether you're on Blab or you're on Mixler. Definitely look forward to that show. Squared Circle of Trust member Sean is going to be with us for that episode. But right now what's being booked is we've got the tag team championships are going to be online. New Day versus Lucha Dragons versus the Usos. The IC championship, which is Kevin Owens versus Dean Ambrose. And the WWE championship will be on the line in a TLC match, Sheamus versus Roman Reigns. So with that, let's go on to Win Fail. For those joining the conversation for the first time, Win Fail is our chance to acknowledge both the best things that happened this week and the worst things that happened this week in WWE. Today, we're going to concentrate on NXT because that's our topic of choice for this week. So let's go right into it. Joe, what is your win of the week?
The fact that Bayley retained her championship against Eva Marie. I really had the feeling that they were going to throw it to Eva Marie, as green as she is, and I'm really glad they didn't. It's going to give more opportunity for storylines, give Eva Marie time to learn how to wrestle more. Not that she doesn't already know how to wrestle, she just needs refinement and lots of it.
Nick, your win of the week?
Fuck yeah, Sami Zayn. I just had the biggest smile on my face when I saw those words on the screen. Sami Zayn is returning. Long overdue. I've been waiting for it for months, and now I'm getting it. I couldn't be happier.
Okay. My win of the week is going to go to Michael Cole as a authority figure. That was good. I don't know what it was about it, but just the fact that Michael Cole was not on commentary and he was being used as this WWE corporate spokesperson in place of in place of William Regal. I just thought it fit very well, and it actually makes me really interested in the idea of Cole as, a Raw GM, or Cole as, once the authority is finally pulled off of TV, him in that authority role. So, that was my win of the week.
He is a lot less objectionable when he doesn't have to deal with JBL.
Yeah, and he doesn't have Vince yelling at him in his headset. So,
yeah.
So, some other wins from the live chat. We've got NXT as a whole. Yeah, no arguments there. NXT has been really good. Also, we've got in that opening segment from this week, it was Michael Cole basically moderating the contract signing between Samoa Joe and Finn Balor, and we saw Samoa Joe choke out Finn Balor, so a lot of love over there. Beanbags is with me as far as Michael Cole as an on-screen character. Total win. Sami Zayn returning, the Elias Sampson video package that we saw.
Oh yeah,
and the contract signing. So yeah, I mean overall this week's NXT episode was loved by many.
Ishmael's one of the week from the Blab chat. Team Bad Unity promo and the New Day on commentary, and Samoa Joe choking up Finn Balor again.
Yeah, yep. That was in the Mixler live chat, but we're just focusing on NXT this week. What about fails? Fails.
There was some in the NXT in there, man.
Oh yeah. I said it.
I have really been enjoying the way Finn Balor has sold the chokes.
Joe, what is your fail of the week?
My fail of the week is that I'm between the Eva Marie being backed by corporate and the fact that she actually got a championship match.
Hey, don't steal my fail from last week.
I don't even remember your fail from last week, so sorry.
That's impressive considering the amount of shit you guys gave me over it.
Yeah, dude, new parent. I was up at 4:30 this morning. Just saying.
Totally understandable.
Joe, your fail of the week besides yourself.
Didn't I just give you my fails of the week?
Maybe. Nick. I meant Nick. What's your fail of the week?
My fail is Garvin. No. It's got to be that Solomon Crowe and Brad Maddox are both gone. It's such a shame that those two were just so wasted in the WWE. Solomon Crowe, because he's just such a phenomenal wrestler, one of the most versatile guys that the WWE's had in years, and you couldn't find a way to use him. And I can't imagine the frustration he must have been feeling to put the level of work he put into the most recent gimmick he had with Sarah Nazi Schreiber, and then just to have all that get taken away from him when she did what she did. So I get it, but it's a real shame. And Brad Maddox, one of the most genuinely interesting characters the WWE's had in a while. A great authority figure, just a great talker in general. And again, you can't find anything for him.
Yeah, I mean, he was the general manager that we deserved, and I was so appreciative of it.
How great would he have been as the NXT commissioner?
How great?
Like, I love William Regal to death, but Brad Maddox, just as much as he got on with the smart side of the audience, just how well could he have riffed on that with the Full Sail crowd?
Yeah, I mean, how great would Brad Maddox be in general? I mean, the thing is that we barely got to see him as GM. Prior to him being GM, he was like the assistant to Vicky Guerrero. So we never really got the opportunity to get him as the main focal point. When he was GM, I could be wrong, but I think that's like when the authority started to come about. So like they were taking precedence over him. And I think that's a real shame. Like we never really got treated to what he can do. We never got to see him wrestle a whole lot. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see what he does on the indie scene as Mad Braddox.
Mm-hmm.
Some fails from the live chat. We've got fail. Basically WWE corporate helping Eva Marie, and of course her getting the women's championship. The possible continuation of what's happening on Raw versus what's happening in NXT. So you've got, on Raw we have this. The evil authority is going after the good guys. I think there's a lot of hesitation, especially from Beanbags and other members of the live chat, where they're going to combine the two. So now we have an evil WWE corporate, taking over NXT or being more involved in what's happening in NXT. So I don't know. I don't necessarily look at the two as one and the same. I know realistically they are one and the same, but at least how NXT is presenting it, I think, is a lot better. We also got fail of Nia Jax siding with Eva Marie. And yeah, I can agree with that. My fail is actually more of a cautious fail. We talked about the Elias video package as far as a potential win from the live chat, and I'm not so looking forward to. So for anyone who didn't watch NXT this week, I'm sorry, is it Elias Sampson?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
the Drifter, Elias Sampson.
Yeah, to me, I didn't know who it was. Like, I'm kind of aware of Elias Sampson, the Drifter. I mean, he's been on TV before, like months ago, right?
Yeah, within the last few months, he's made some appearances.
Yeah, it vaguely rings a bell, but he did like this song on video, and you really didn't see his face. You just saw like he was a bearded guy, almost like a Damien Sandow style beard, singing the song. And I don't know. I'm cautiously pessimistic about it, just because of how often we've seen singer songwriter slash solo guitarists like that type of thing happen in WWE, and it's always been awful, whether it's Double J Jeff Jarrett or I think there is some love for, why do I lose this name? What's his name? From he lost to Ultimate Warrior.
Honky Tonk Man.
Honky Tonk Man. So there is some love for Honky Tonk Man, but that gimmick was just awful. And I don't want to see anything else that's could be remotely similar to that. The Road Dogg is another thing where he was the roadie for Double J Jeff Jarrett. That was awful. I don't want to see that again. And because what we have seen historically has been so lame, I'm not looking forward to this if this is how they're going to move forward with it. So
I'm a little bit split.
Yeah.
I did enjoy the video. I thought that was put together kind of well, but I completely see where you're coming from. Elias Sampson never really showed us much. So, yeah, I guess I fall into the cautiously optimistic side just because we haven't really seen anything from him. So who knows, he might be kind of a breakout star. But I definitely understand the hesitance to really accept this just because of the debuts that we've had in recent months. Going back to the last year, this is really a step down from folks like Asuka or Tommy or Balor or even Nia Jax, folks that we know or can at least attach names to, whereas, they never really even gave a name in that video package. You kind of had to rely on context clues, the scarf, the guitar. Remember that Elias Sampson was somebody that commentary talked about now and again.
Yeah. And real quick, a secondary fail. And I know he got a lot of love on the internet just because of how absurd it was. Well, not necessarily absurd, just like, just the commentary on Eva Marie being in your main event. But in the crowd, in the front row, was a guy reading a book during that main event. And
oh yeah,
hilarious that. Like, that was his response to the fact that Eva Marie was in the main event. But the fact that that story that was being told was so awesome, at least in my mind, to me, that's a fail. That's something that should be on Raw, not on NXT.
Yeah, I mean, you get a lot of people. It's kind of going to that old ECW thing where you had the sign guy and the hat guy and the. We have enough of those characters. We don't need book reading guy.
Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and close up tonight's conversation. Before we go, we want to thank everyone who tuned into the live recording here. So whether it's on Mixler or Blab, we definitely appreciate you guys supporting us in this capacity. So lots of love towards Diva Jill, Los Carmichaels. We also had Zap Brannigan 2000, who celebrated his 21st birthday, or is going to very soon. Beanbags. And then we also had McCrae Mobley, at Perfect Angel 3, at Posh24Fit, @_Mimit, and at I'm not going to pronounce it, but
Jay
his name's
Van. Yep,
Oh,
all those are from Blab. So thank you
Yeah.
for watching and listening to us on
thank
Blab.
you. Definitely. We are enjoying the experience that we're getting so far on Blab. But yeah, overall, any last things that you guys want to say before we part ways tonight? Joe?
Nope.
Nick?
God damn it, AJ, stop getting injured.
AJ Styles injured, pulled from an NJPW show. Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
That's sad. Okay.
Good brother down.
This series, as well as the rest of the podcast, released through fanstalkpodcast.com, are supported exclusively by our Patreon subscribers. You can subscribe today for as little as $1 a month to receive early access to content, as well as get your ears on some exclusive content that we produce throughout the month. The more you pledge, the more perks there are. So we've got a $3 level, we've got a $5 level, we've got a $15 level. Thank you, Kyle Petrano. Yeah, so definitely go over there. fanstalkpodcast.com. There's a big green button. You can also reach it on fanstalkprowrestling.com. And definitely, if you enjoy this content, support us any way you can. But financially is nice too. So for Nick, Joe, my name is Garvin, and we will see you next Tuesday. Later. Fans Talk Pro Wrestling is part of the Fans Talk Podcast family. It can be found at fanstalkprowrestling.com. Fans Talk Podcast family is a subsidiary of Tigar Creative, LLC.